Welcome to our podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The latest opinion poll done by Mizani Africa on which candidate equation best suited to send President William Ruto home is something of great political interest, ladies and gentlemen. This is how their finding look like, starting from the bottom to the highest. At number 1, we have Fred Matiang'i and Rigathi Gachagua, making it at 0.4%. At number 2, we have Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Matiang'i, making it at 4.4%. Number 3, we have Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua, making it at 8.3%. At number 4, we have Edwin Sifuna and Ndidi Nyoro, making it at 61.7%. I never saw that coming though. At number 5, we have Fred Matiang'i and Edwin Sifuna, making it at 20.8%. And finally, the highest, we have Kalonzo Musyoka and Edwin Sifuna, making it at 22.4%. There are two clear observations from this particular poll, ladies and gentlemen. You must have realized that despite the fact that Rigathi Gachagua having this greatest influence, political control among these candidates, where he is becoming the least. And the second observation, you must also have observed that Edwin Sifuna is really scoring so high. Yes, a collection that is having Edwin Sifuna is really rising. The focus of this particular podcast is to demonstrate for you two things. Number 1, I want to demonstrate to you why Kalonzo and Edwin Sifuna is the best candidate to take President William Ruto home. And another demonstration that I want to make to you is why, despite the fact that Rigathi Gachagua having a great number of voters, it doesn't really score well. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I continue with the podcast, kindly, if you're watching us for the first time, it is my humble request, kindly subscribe to our podcast. Click the notification bell so that whenever we make such videos, YouTube will automatically notify you. And for those who have been watching us and are not yet subscribed, it is also my humble plea, kindly subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you directly support the podcast. By the way, subscription is absolutely free. Now, direct to the point. Why is Kalonzo Musyoka and Edwin Sifuna the best suited to take President William Ruto's home? I want us to consider this, starting with Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka is one candidate that carries the national diversity. It is a very important point, ladies and gentlemen. For one to become a president in this country, one have to go beyond his tribe. It is true that politics of this country start with ethnic tribe. But that particular person who has the greater chance to win election has to go beyond his tribe. And I tell you, Kalonzo is the best for this. Why? Kalonzo, of course, has the Kamba voters. That is something that is obvious. And looking, Kalonzo again have a great advantage of Mount Kenya. Yes, Kalonzo, Mount Kenya is likely to vote for Kalonzo Musyoka. There is just narrative that Kalonzo has been selling that, is also a cousin to them, that Kalonzo comes from Mount Kenya East. There is something that have made a good relationship with the Mount Kenya community, the Kikuyu community. And again, let us not lie. Let us just be truthful for once. Kalonzo Musyoka is that candidate that also, Luos, he suits well with Luos. Kalonzo have been supporting the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for 3 times. Actually, Luos have a feeling that wakona deni ya Kalonzo Musyoka. Yeah, that is something that is true. Wakona deni ya Kalonzo Musyoka. Look at Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka going to the coastal region. You know, coastal region of tribes like the Mijikendas, but also Kambas in the coastal region. Kalonzo score well in the coastal region. Let us go to the western region, the lawyers. Kalonzo has never had issues with lawyers, ladies and gentlemen. This is why, considering those big tribes, almost 5 big tribes in Kenya, that make Kalonzo's scorecard to be so high. Yes. And again, let us look at another factor that is making Kalonzo to outshine this candidate. Let's talk about his scorecard. Kalonzo is one that have been tested. Kalonzo was tested in Moi's regime, in Kibaki's regime, sorry. Kalonzo was the vice president to Kibaki. This makes, and again, from you will agree with me that if there's a president that today is ranked to be the best, is Kibaki. And Kalonzo was part of that government. That make Kalonzo's scorecard to be so high. Yes, this guy anaonekana mchapakazi. And again, something that notable about this, Kalonzo have never had any corruption. Tell me, which scandal do you know of Kalonzo Musyoka? Definitely no. Yes, there is something that is very important. He's seen as corruption free. Yes, Kalonzo is corruption free. And again, Kalonzo is also, depicting as a diplomat. Yes, Kalonzo stands to be a diplomat. This is really making his scorecard to rise so high. Now, combine Kalonzo with the firebrand, Edwin Sifuna. Nimoto. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I stand for. This is where, personally, my opinion lies. Kalonzo and Edwin Sifuna. Now, let us consider Edwin Sifuna. Edwin Sifuna carries and comes out with the ODM politics. And this is the argument I want to bring. It is true, and you're true to disagree, but you will agree with me that today ODM is one of the biggest political party in the country. Today we've seen how Edwin Sifuna, the Linda Mwananchi team, have really made it and come clear that they carry the strength of ODM. Edwin Sifuna carries the strength of ODM. That force that Linda Mwananchi team is having is making sense. We've seen the political rallies that these people have done across the country, from Western to the Coastal to Nairobi and to Nyanza region. The ODM politics making Edwin Sifuna to score high. And again, there is also this point that I want to put across and really making Edwin Sifuna to really score high. The youthful politics. Edwin Sifuna carries the voice of the youth. And youths are the majority of in this country. Edwin Sifuna today is seen to be that person that carries the sauti ya youths. Yeah, the Gen Z politics. And and understand how Gen Z is the greatest headache to President William Ruto. Now, Edwin Sifuna today's come convincing these people that, and it's time to take President William Ruto. I tell you, there is one of the greatest headache President William Ruto is having. Edwin Sifuna is also a great mobilizer, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen the massive, crowd Edwin Sifuna is able to pull. That is making Edwin Sifuna so score high. And by the way, that is what Kalonzo doesn't have. This is what Kalonzo doesn't have. And it has been equalized. But what Sifuna is having, a great mobilizer. Talk about the track record. Edwin Sifuna today is the super senator. Edwin Sifuna scores high in the parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not lie about that. So the combination of Edwin Sifuna and Kalonzo Musyoka, it is the best one. And again, it is notable that despite the fact that Rigathi Gachagua is having the highest votes. When you combine all these candidates, of course, Rigathi Gachagua is the man. The Mount Kenya vote is something that is so clear. But you realize that wherever Rigathi Gachagua is, it doesn't score. And by the way, if you've been here listening for this podcast, the other day I made a podcast on the current proceeding in the court, where Rigathi Gachagua is fighting, seeking justice for his impeachment. And my point was, I wish Rigathi Gachagua doesn't come to the ballot. If we really have that one agenda to take President William Ruto home, then Rigathi Gachagua sikuje kwa debe. Yeah, baki hapo. There's a great role he's playing, and he is doing it best behind the scene. So that is why Rigathi Gachagua is scoring low. This is a man that has been tagged to be a tribalist. Yes, let us not lie. Let us call a spade a spade. Rigathi Gachagua has been tried as a tribalist. That apart from Mount Kenya, there is nowhere Rigathi Gachagua will get votes. And that is something that we can confirm, ladies and gentlemen. Rigathi Gachagua score high in Mount Kenya. But again, for you to get to be that, to become the president, you have to be a national figure. You have to go beyond your tribe. And this is the disadvantage that Rigathi Gachagua is having. The fact that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached is not something less, ladies and gentlemen. It has a political impact. Being impeached, it is already, a damage on his reputation. This guy, when he was impeached about the corruption things, today, that's already a damage on his scorecard, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say this in conclusion. Rigathi Gachagua has grown to be the kingmaker. Let Rigathi Gachagua make kings. Let Rigathi Gachagua play that politics behind the scene. Let Rigathi Gachagua support Kalonzo and Edwin Sifuna. And I tell you, William Ruto will be home asubuhi na mapema. Asubuhi na mapema. What is your take, ladies and gentlemen? Can you give your opinion? Which equation, which pairs of candidates do you think is best suited to take President William Ruto home? As for me, I stand with Kalonzo and Edwin Sifuna. Thank you.